All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Want to respect your evening and the time that you guys are with us today. So I will turn it over to Stacy and Aaron. And like I had mentioned before, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box and we'll get started.
So glad you could all be here tonight, and we're going to start off talking about our breath tonight. You know, really deep breathing is a form of meditation. It's a practice that's been around for thousands of years, and there's a lot of physical benefits to meditation as well. It can help reduce anxiety, it'll sharpen your memory, it treats symptoms of depression, promotes restful sleep, and it also improves your heart health. And it's hard to focus on anything else when you're being present with your breath. So conscious breath will help keep you present, and that's one of the great things about yoga, because you have to focus on your breath so much. Now, certainly we are human, so you're going to have thoughts that come into your mind. It's the mind chatter, but what you can learn to do is by continuing to practice with your breath, you can acknowledge those thoughts, but not have too much attachment to them so they can float away, kind of like floating clouds would, so you can come back to your practice. And we're going to focus on a couple of breath exercises that you can do anytime, anywhere. And I want you to really focus on how you're feeling and go at your own pace. You may need to go faster or slower. Your breath may need to be longer or shorter. So just really pay attention to how you're going. The first one we're going to do is just a very simple breath exercise that you can do sitting up. You can also do it lying down on your mat, and you can place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, and your eyes can be open or closed. If you choose to leave them open, try to steady your gaze, but you're just going to take in a deep inhale, really fill up, and then let it go. Let's do that again. Go ahead and fill up all the way down to your hips. Let it go. Notice how that breath feels when it exits your body. Go ahead and inhale again. Notice how you feel when you fill up. Let it go. Notice how you feel more grounded and calmer. Go ahead and inhale one more time. And let it go. Again, simple breath exercise that you can do anytime, and you're going to feel calmer and more centered to go on about your day. This is a great exercise that you can do anytime if you're trying to get ready to go to sleep or if you're feeling anxious about anything. A great breath exercise to do. The next one is the 4-2-4 breath. So you're going to inhale for 4, then you're going to hold for 2, and you're going to exhale for 4. This is really one of those breath exercises to really notice how you're feeling. If breath is too long or too short with how I'm counting, go at your own pace and repeat this 4 times. So we're going to inhale for 4. So I'll start with a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2, 1, 2, and exhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale again for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Last time, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, and exhale for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, another great breath exercise that you can do anywhere, anytime before you start your practice, when you are done with your practice, or if you're just needing a moment to focus on your breath throughout the day. And again, just really paying attention to how that breath feels in your body and whether or not you need to shorten the breath or maybe make it longer, go faster or slower. So great breathing exercise. And again, something you can do every day and a wonderful way to start off your practice. Next thing we want to talk about will be some of the poses that we can do in chair, and Aaron's going to share those.
Hi everybody, I'm Erin. I'm glad you guys made it. Thank you, Stacy, for that breath and meditating, that breath, that counting, the 4-2-4. How do you feel after that? I felt kind of like, almost, like released, like something had released. It felt pretty good. That was good. So one of the questions that was on your feedback was, props and modifications. And I know we've done, chair, yoga before, but I wanted to show you, because one of the specific things that you guys talked about was tabletop, okay? And cat and cow, and things that we can do in the chair pose. So let's start with tabletop. So with tabletop, you can just, this is tabletop right here. If you want to add the little stretch in your wrist, just go like this, you know. I always like my toes active, but you know, this is tabletop. This is good right here. All right. We'll release that down. Make sure that you breathe. If you want to do cat-cow in a seated position, then you're going to inhale, fill your belly out, lift your head, lift your neck, and then as you exhale, round. Good job, Stacy. Yes. Just like, and so this is exactly what you would be doing, and you're just moving through breath, you know, for cat-cow. Just back and forth, breathing in. You know, when you breathe in, fill your belly, lift your head, lift your neck, lift your shoulders drop. And then exhale, really round your spine. You might be able to get it even deeper, cat-cow in a chair, because you can roll your hands down to your knees. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Let's do that for about 5 more times if you want to. This is just a good example of cat-cow in the chair and how you can really get that deeper range of motion by using a chair. Last one. Maybe one more. That felt pretty good, actually. And then come back to neutral. And when you're in the chair, root in with your sit bones, just as if you were on a mat or any place on the floor, anything like that. And the next thing we're going to go over is bird dog in a chair, because again, we're trying to, it's a wrist issue, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But if you have tender wrists or anything like that, you can do bird dog. So you're going to take your right arm out and your left leg out. Okay? And if this is too much, we have handy dandy straps. Loop this. Okay, yay, bird dog pose. And then of course, all you do is switch, you know, using breath. And again, if you want to use your strap, you use your strap. And you're sitting up tall. If you're in the chair, and I think I went over this before, if you're short like me, use a block. Bring the floor up to you. Changing that range of motion. And then come back. Release the strap if that's what you're doing. The other thing, let me see. The other thing we talked about was goddess squat. And y'all asked about building muscle. I think that was one of the questions about building muscle. So Stacy, I don't know if you want to turn the chair around to face them. We're going to do goddess squat. So you can use your chair for goddess squat. And what this is going to do is it helps build up your strength, okay? So you can stay right here. And what I would suggest is you inhale your arms up and then exhale your arms down, come down. And then do that again, inhale up. So you have that trust of having the chair, okay? But you're still, I guarantee you, if you're doing this, you're feeling this right here, right now. Yes. And exhale.
This is going to help you with that strength building.
Right, with your weak muscles. Now, if it gets to be too much, even just being right here in goddess squat, actually sitting down, your legs are still open. You're still in that same posture. The only difference is you're seated. So there's nothing different. Make sure your feet are active and grounded, grounded and rooted in, because your feet are going to help you lift up. And then exhale down. Good job. Good job. Give yourself a hand. The next thing we're going to work on are the down dog and the forward fold in a chair. And we have several different variations. We didn't want to just bend right over in front of you. So Stacy's going to demonstrate a forward fold using the front part of the chair or the seated part. There we go. Now, if you want to go a little further, place your hands actually on the seat of the chair. So your seat of the chair here. Now, if you're good here, if you're okay here, then stay here. But one thing is this is a good way to get that stretch and learning how to root in with the pads of your fingers instead of dumping into your wrists. But if you want to take it a little bit further, then take the legs of your chair, make sure it's steady, and just walk yourself down. All right? And then on an inhale, using your muscles, come up. Your hands are just a guide, just like the strap, okay? So you have definitely different options here. You've got here in the seat, or you can walk all the way down and bend your knees. Do a healthy bend in your knees. Don't walk your knees out. Trust your body. And when you're here, wag your tail, walk your dog. It is exactly the same positions that you've been doing. It's just utilizing a chair. Okay? And then the last thing is if you want to use the back of your chair. So if you want to use the back of your chair, just walk yourself out as far as you want to go and then fold. And if you're good here, you're good here. I guarantee you're feeling a stretch in your shoulders, a stretch in your arms. And again, if you want to go further, then you can just use your chair. Use your chair to walk your hands down as far as you want to go. And now slowly come back up. So that's just some examples of different things you can use in chair pose, any kind of chair. In fact, the last one I'll show you is chair pose. And I think we did this before too. You come up and then just squat back, all right? If you want to stay here, you're good. If this is too much, then just come down into a seated position, but you're still in chair. Your arms are still active. Your belly's still active. You're still breathing. And then root in with your feet. Push yourself up. Hold and breathe. Hold and breathe and then come down. So those are ways to build strength. If you feel you have a weakness in, some weak muscles, which we all do. Everybody's body is different in different ways, but that's a way to build strength and still have that extra support that you need.
That's right. And doing those, using the chair for support and being consistent with your breath is going to help you build that strength and also be able to stretch and go along with your practice and continue to be consistent with it. And you're going to see great benefits over time.
Okay. So,
next part we were going to talk about was taking some pressure off our wrist.
You want to talk about that, and I'll do it?
You can, sure.
Yeah.
So one of the things when you're doing tabletop, or if you're doing downward facing dog, it's really important to utilize your hands. So really stretching your hands out, almost like starfish. And then also noticing the fleshy part in between your thumb and your first finger, and helping to really kind of press down when you go into tabletop. That will help take some pressure off your wrist. Now, if you do have carpal tunnel, or if you have arthritis in your wrist, there are a couple of other options you can do. First of all, you can grip with your fingers. You can also do knuckles to help take some of that pressure off. So different variations of what you can do, but you're still in tabletop and you're still doing that. So just really focusing on what feels best to you. It also might be worth your time to look at the flooring that you have, what's underneath your mat, because sometimes the floor can be really hard and add some added pressure onto your joints. So really kind of paying attention to that. You might need an extra mat over there to roll up as well, to give you some of that extra support. So definitely some great options for you. Erin is also doing a great wrist stretch there as well. She's turned her fingers towards her knees, and it's a very gentle stretch that is great for carpal tunnel, or if you spend a lot of time typing, if you have any tightness in your wrist or arthritis, you just gently sway back and forth. And if it's too much doing both hands, you can certainly do one hand at a time, but just a great little stretch to do before you start your practice. If you know that you have some sensitivity within your wrist, I would recommend doing this before you start. So just some different variations that you can do, but really trying to focus on what works best for you, whether it's really stretching out your fingers, using your fingers to go up on a little bit more with tabletop, or using your knuckles.
You can also, we talked about this a little bit, like in down dog or tabletop, you don't have to be up here. You can kind of sit back and almost sit up, and then keep your hands, again, practicing. It's a little hard. It's a little different at first to practice digging in with your fingers, almost like digging with sand. But this is also child's pose right here. So if this is easier and it builds up some strength here again and keeps you up off your wrist, modifications are awesome. Just remember that. You don't have to come all the way down here.
Absolutely.
You can kind of stay up here.
Absolutely, and you're still engaged, so you're still getting all the benefits
Right.
to that pose. So it's really just about taking that time and playing around and seeing what feels best to you, and then being sure to modify and do that.
Right. Okay, so the next thing was travel. And Stacy's got something really cool to show you guys for some travel props. You can use most things in your motel room, but
So this is a yoga travel towel. It's a manduka, and it's got two sides. One that's just regularly roll out, but this one has the grip side, so the no slip grip on it, and you can just roll it out. This goes into your suitcase or bag very easily, and you could put it in your hotel room, roll it out in your hotel room, and then you can practice. So if yoga becomes such a part of your day-to-day life, it would be worth investing in something like this if you want to travel. If not, you could use a towel or a blanket within your hotel room. And yoga mats are great for travel too, but we were talking about they are a bit bigger, so if you're traveling on a plane, something like a yoga towel would work better versus a yoga mat. If you're going in a car, obviously you can take it, but this is really great. It's got a couple of options for you, and this is even something that you can invest in and use as additional support on your regular yoga mat. So just a couple of ideas.
well, and if you do travel, if you're, in your motel room, you have extra pillows. So those can be bolsters. You have, sometimes you travel with a book. If you're at home or any place, hardback books. I don't know if anybody even has a hard dictionary anymore, but if you have a hard dictionary, those are great for blocks. Any hardback book would be really good. I know the motel room probably has a Bible in the nightstand, you know, so, you've got things around you. Stacy commented that most motel rooms has a blanket up in the closet, you know, so use that, use your pillows, and you can still have a modified practice in your motel room.
Yeah, because they're gonna have chairs there too, or wall space, so you really, the great thing about yoga is you can get very creative with the props that you use. It doesn't take much, and you can still set up your space to where you're comfortable. Another thing one of your questions was, is it worth the investment into props? So we were talking about the investment into a good mat. I know when I first started doing yoga, I just had an inexpensive mat that I probably got at Walmart or Target, and it worked great. But once I got more committed to practice, then I invested in a mat that, you know, has the no slip grip, and it's wonderful. I've had it for 8 years, so it still is just as good as it was when I got it. Erin, I know you've got some different ones that you like as well.
I got the guy, well, my very first one was a J yoga, and one thing I did want to say is if you do have wrist issues, look to see if they're more porous, or like Stacy's and mine, we have this flat no stick surface that to me gives me a little bit more support as
Yes.
well.
This one's a Lululemon one, but
Yeah, but the first one I liked, my J yoga, I did, and I spent a lot of money for that one, but this one I didn't spend as much for. I think it's a guy on Amazon, but it has the no slip, and it's not so porous that I feel like I'm sinking down into it. It has some support. There are ones, if you're taller, you can order them longer. There's also some that are thicker and heavier, and those are just things that as you're looking, I would, if you're gonna invest, take the time to look. Because, and ask other people, like you did ask, you know, the first studio I was with had the J yoga, but then I went to Yoga Gypsy and they were showed these, you know. Check and see according to what your needs are. Because I didn't want a big mat that weighed 100 pounds, I had to carry it around, but some people like that extra added support. And if you do, then that's what you need to do. So when you're making your decisions about buying your equipment, make sure those decisions aren't based on what you think they should be according to yoga, lore, or whatever, but what do you need for your practice?
there are so many options, so just doing your research, you're gonna be able to find one that supports you best. And if it's something that you're doing on a regular basis, then making the investment into a good yoga mat's gonna be worth it, because it's gonna be one that you have for years and years to come. You don't have to replace them every year or two. Like I said, I've had mine for 8. We were talking the other day, you had yours several years as
Or
well.
I think 3 or 4
So
years.
they really do pay off for the money that you invest in them up front. And then also to realize you can stack yoga mats too. You can put two or three on top of each other too to help get that added support. But whatever areas that you feel like you need a little bit of additional support in, definitely paying attention to the mats and doing your research will pay off.
Well, and when you're at home, again, you have the same option of props that you would if you were traveling. You know, you use your hardback books, your pillows, couch cushions are good. I use a scarf for my strap. You can use a towel, you can use a tie, a belt. Some of the best advice I was given right off the bat from Terry was, you know, yoga doesn't have to be expensive. So keep that in mind as well. I mean, it's nice to spend money on a mat if that's what you need, but if it's a mat that's cheaper or less expensive and it works for you, then it's not about the price tag.
Right, stick with that, and know too that, you know, if you've got your home practice and you're doing this on a weekly basis, set up a space that you're gonna enjoy going to. Really make it your own. We were talking about the flooring, making sure that wherever you're doing your practice, that floor helps support you rather than adding any pain to any of your joint areas, just being mindful of that. And then set up that special space, have a calming place for you to go to, and you can use whatever you want. We're talking about pillows, you can bring candles in, maybe essential oil spray, focus on your lighting as well, but really take that time to invest in a space that's going to work best for you and make you feel comfortable and calm when you go into practicing yoga.
And along with that, once you have your space, these were other things that we talked about is, I know there are parts of my body I'm almost afraid of, not really part, but I'm at the point in my life where I do think about injuries and things like that. So sometimes I almost don't trust myself with my decisions with yoga, and really know that with yoga, it's a safe space to find your edge, because you never know how far you can go until you can find your edge. But also a safe space if you're having a day where it's like, I just want to lay here, that's okay too. Don't get so wrapped up in your head about what I look like. Am I doing this right? I hear this all the time. The one question, am I doing it right? And there's no right or wrong, but commit to being kind and open with yourself, with your practice.
Yes, give yourself lots of grace and realize too that this is a practice. It's not about perfection. Another great yoga instructor, Terry, told us that as well. Don't get caught up in all the mind chatter when you're in your practice. Notice your body. That's why we talk so much about breath in yoga, because when you're focusing on your breath and movement, it's really hard to focus on anything else. So it's going to keep you present and keep you grounded. And as you go throughout your practice, you're going to notice that you do gain in strength and flexibility. And it does take time, but it's going to happen. And whether you have 10 minutes a day starting out to eventually building up to a 30-minute, to an hour practice, whatever works best with you. That's the great thing about yoga is it doesn't matter. It works wherever you are in your life. So it's 10 minutes a day or an hour, whatever works best. Take that time and do that. As far as some of the other props, again, blocks are great. There's several different types of blocks. Erin, did you want to kind of talk a little bit? We were talking about this the other day, some of the blocks and what you can do with those.
So I like the foam blocks, but now like these Hugger Muggers, and I think Manduka is doing the same thing. On the inside, they're cork, which is the hard one, but on the outside, they're this foam. And I like that because it gives you the support, but it also makes it soft. Now, again, just like we talked about, if you like the cork, stick with what you like and what works for your body. But, if you don't have a chair and you have a couple of blocks, or you have a book or something, and you want to do a forward fold, okay, you can use a block. This is a forward fold. You can walk these blocks out. Here's down dog, okay? I think that, I don't know about you guys, but when I first started doing yoga, I thought using props took away from my practice. And actually what they do is they enhance your practice so you can start getting that range of motion. And your body remembers that. Your body has motor memory skills. So when you hit that range of motion, then it goes, oh, okay. And then maybe next time you won't have to use the blocks, or if you do forever and ever, it doesn't really matter.
It's completely fine, and using the wall support or the chair support. Use all of that that's available to you, because there's so many options to it. And it's really about creating a practice that you're comfortable with and you're feeling that growth, and really talking about the couple of things you wanted to do on the wall.
Right. Well, I was just, and I apologize, I'm gonna turn around, but if you just got wall space, and again, you want to practice some of these more maybe challenging poses, you've got the wall, just use your hands and walk down. And Stacy brought up a good point, bend your knees, don't lock your knees out. Then if you can get to forward fold here, that's great. And then again, use your wall
Use the wall to walk you back.
to walk you back. If you wanna do balance poses,
We do that quite a bit in
Yes,
class, so that's a
yes.
good thing to do.
so, here you go. Here's dancer's pose. Okay, you're in dancer.
Yes, use that wall support, use the chair, you can do all these in chair as well.
Right, and here's tree pose. So that was something else. Again, yoga can be done. Terry, our illustrious Terry said, you can do yoga.
She was our teacher, she did our teacher
Training,
and,
yeah.
Started practicing yoga many years ago, but,
Maybe.
it's really just about finding what works best for you, learning to trust your body. Everybody's had different types of trauma done to their body, but really just listening to your body and learning to trust it again and taking your time with it. It's gonna take you a while to start noticing that strength and stretching, but you're gonna feel better much quicker, and then you'll see those results with your stretching and also gaining that strength that you want in your muscles, and just giving yourself that space and time and being consistent with it is gonna help you the best.
And that's a super point, is give yourself that time, give yourself that gift of time. I always tell the story, when I first started yoga, I thought, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds, and it's maybe gonna take me a week. And that's not the reality of it. Here it is 4 or 5 years later, and I'm still practicing yoga. So give yourself that gift of time to experiment with yoga, and again, building that trust with your body and experiencing that trauma, maybe even releasing some of that trauma. But that is the joy, and as cliche as it sounds, yoga is a journey. And enjoy it, but use everything that is available to you. It's no different than going to a job and using all the tools. We use all the tools, all the props, all the things that are available to you so that you have a great practice.
Yes, make sure your toolkit is full with your practice, because that's gonna help you feel your best. And for me with yoga, I did a home practice probably 10 years ago, and then I've done a studio that I started going to, Yoga Gypsy, and I had actually broken my femur in college. Excuse me, I was in a car accident and broke my left femur. So I've had weakness in my left side ever since then. But one of the things I noticed over time is yoga has really made a difference to help me strengthen that area. And it's made so many benefits over the years, where I'm better today and stronger today than I was before I started practicing yoga. So just knowing that whatever injury, trauma you've had, just trusting your body and spending that time, you're gonna see those results over time, and taking it slow, whatever pace works best for you. And having fun with it too, because I feel like our day-to-days are so serious. So this is one thing where you can kind of have fun. I mean, you're getting to do tree pose, and you're doing these different breaths, and we talk about taking deep inhales, and doing bubble lips and lion's breath and everything. So just have fun with it as well. Does anybody have any?
Do you want to open up
Questions for us? We're going to end with a very nice savasana for you.
So we have someone just commenting, my hands have gotten so much stronger. Last year, my wrist hurt a lot. And then they also would like a demonstration of waterfall and bridge with the block.
So we'll start with bridge.
Okay.
I like to start with the lowest point. Some people feel better going to the highest point. So definitely start out with the lowest point, which could also be here. So you've got like 3 options. You can start here, lowest point, you can turn it to the side, or this would be your tallest point. But really finding what works best, you're gonna place that block underneath your sacrum. Then your hips will be pushed up. You'll bring your heels as close to your glutes as you can. And that in itself, you can place your hands beside you, would be bridge, supported bridge. And you would stay here.
You can come up on that side. Can you see that?
Yes.
Or I don't even know why
You want to go up to the highest point. That's really good. But really, you would just focus on counting your breaths during that time. And
it's a you should feel it here in your hips, in your glutes, and breathe in with your
breathing
feet.
with your feet.
So your shoulders are just kind of neutral, your neck's neutral. All the work is down here.
Yes, and you're really relaxing your upper body in this pose as much as you can. So that would be supported bridge. And again, 3 levels for you to try. So,
Did that answer that question?
and then as far as for waterfall, you're gonna take the block as well. I like to do the lowest point with it. You will place it underneath your sacrum. Bring your feet up. And this is waterfall.
And make sure it's on your sacrum and not on your vertebrae or anything like that.
Yes. If you need to make any adjustments to it, be sure to do that. It should feel very comfortable and easy for you to stay in this pose. You can always do waterfall on the wall too, if that feels better. So whichever option works best for you.
And if you don't have a block or you're someplace where you don't have a book, stack your hands on top of each other and you can use that.
Absolutely. And sometimes that might feel better than placing a block underneath. You can also use a bolster to do waterfall in place as well. So finding what works best and feels best to you, or always take those options.
So this was a question ahead of time that I thought would be good to talk about here. Was what are the different levels of yoga? And if you guys could, maybe just kind of explain the level that our classes typically, look like and how that could be different from another yoga class.
So the class that we do on Tuesdays is what I would call a slow flow to a gentle flow. There's also some restorative poses in it. So we are holding those poses a little bit longer, focusing on our breath and going, in and out of those poses with options for you, so that you're able to focus on your breath and also move at a slower pace to where you're feeling the actual pose and working on building that strength and endurance. It's for all levels, so beginner to, the very advanced, anybody can do it.
And then what we do is holding stretches and breathing. And it's just more stretching than a flow is basically you've got your sun salutations, your up dog, your down dog. And then you've got what I was told the difference between a slow flow and a power is you don't do your chaturangas in a slow flow. So instead of going into down, up dog and then into down dog doing a sun salutation. But we just do stretches and breathing. And what that's geared for is, again, the breath to bring us back. And we've talked about this before. We run around in fight, flight a lot. We don't even realize it. And when we take those deep breaths or do the bubble lips or the lion's breath, that releases our parasympathetic nervous system. And we go from fight, flight to rest, relax, and digest. And it's something that is probably the last thing we think of when we're in fight or flight. And that's why we talk about breath, breath, breath all the time. But a power class is basically one breath, one movement. You're going up, down, breathe in, breathe out. And it's not like it's not for all levels. It just might be a practice that you're going to have to work yourself up to. And you can go to a power flow, and if it gets to be too much, go into child's pose, go into shavasana. It's yoga practice, not yoga perfect.
Absolutely. I think for the classes that we do with Hope Cancer Resources, they include the sun salutations. We're holding those poses longer. We're doing the restorative poses and really focusing on the breath. And it's really, and there's lots of different modifications that you can do too. So that it really starts with whatever level you are in yoga and wherever you are on your journey. I answered that question.
And if you ever want to have more of a class, just let Hannah know. We will be happy to give you more.
Yes.
And we can try it out. It's not like, you have to stay there, but if you're curious, let her know. And Stacy and I went to teacher training together. So, anything that you're curious or interested in, we can modify the practice.
Absolutely. And again, knowing those poses that are always available to you for rest. I know when I first started Power Flow, I had to go into child's pose quite a bit. It took a while to build up to being able to do a full power flow, which, you know, runs 60 minutes. So that's definitely the great thing about yoga is over time, you're gonna build up that strength and endurance. And then knowing that child's pose is always available to you, Savasana as well. So child's pose is definitely one of my favorite poses to take. All right, well, I think we've answered all the questions that you have. Great questions. Thank you so much. And we'd like to end by going back and focusing on the breath. So everybody can go ahead and lay back on their mat for Savasana.
Find your favorite prop.
Yes.
For Shavasana, your blanket, your bolster, your pillow, whatever feels good.
Take a little bit of time and do that. And then we're going to focus on just doing those easy breaths that we did in the beginning. So we'll just lie back. And again, you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And go ahead and close your eyes. Let your feet fall to the wayside. Take a deep inhale. Really fill up. Open your mouth, let it go. Do that again. Deep inhale. Audible exhale. Fill up all the way down to your hips. Notice how your belly rises with your inhale in your chest. And go ahead and exhale, let it all go. Notice if you're holding on to any tightness or tension throughout your body. See if you can relax those areas a little bit more. Deep inhale. And audible exhale. One last time. Really fill up. Open your mouth and let it go. Go into your final relaxation pose. Let your arms all beside you, palms are facing up, your eyes are closed. Scan your body from your head to your toes. Again, noticing if you're holding on to any tightness or tension, try to let that go a little bit more. Continue to focus on your breath, you're back to your natural breath. Rest your forehead, press that space in between your eyebrows. Rest your cheeks and your jaw. Relax your neck and shoulders. Relax your right arm, right hand, and right fingers. Relax your left arm, left hand, left fingers. Relax your chest and belly. Relax your upper back, lower back. Relax your hips. Relax your right leg, right ankle, right foot and toes. Relax your left leg, left ankle, left foot and toes. Give yourself permission to fully relax with your eyes closed and be present with your breath. Take a deep inhale. Open your mouth, let it go. Add gentle movements to your fingers and your toes. Turn your head gently from side to side. Start waking your body back up. Maybe a big nice stretch overhead would feel really nice before rolling onto your favorite side and using your arm as a pillow and pausing just for a moment to thank yourself for taking some time out for you today, for focusing on your health and your wellness, and spending some time with your practice. Go ahead and open your eyes if you haven't done so already so you can readjust to the room. When you're ready, you're going to come up to a comfortable seat. Go ahead and inhale your arms up. Exhale, heart center. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and the light in me sees and honors the light in all of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. There is one last question if we want to address it
Yeah.
before we we close off today. So demonstrating a warrior one and explaining how to position the pelvis and the waist.
Okay, so warrior one, your foot goes back at a 45-degree angle. I don't know if y'all can see. Let me do it this way. Okay, so, oops. So your foot is at a 45-degree angle, and use that pinky toe, okay, for energy. Then the front foot is going to go forward, all right? And then my hips go to the front. So my hips, so I get that stretch back here, my hips are toward the front. You feel it in the hamstrings.
Yeah, and you can take your hands and kind of square your hips off towards the front of the room. That will help you know that they're squared off as well.
And you can do this with your chair.
Yes.
So we talked about this before. Inhale your knee up, come back. See my foot's at a 45-degree angle, lean into the chair, and then here's warrior one. Okay, or warrior one. And then warrior two, your hips move toward the front. Your legs stay the same. Good? Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much. We're so glad that we could see you tonight, and hopefully we'll see you soon and have a great evening.